Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Therapeutic Yoga today. We are going to do a class on the piriformis muscle. Now, I have my little spine man here, so I wanted to kind of take a quick moment to talk about the piriformis and really more importantly talk about why it is such a problem for all of us bipedal humans, meaning that we stand on our feet. We don't typically stand with our hands and our feet. And I want to kind of go over a couple of reasons, actually three reasons why today it might be one of the most important classes that you take relative to therapeutic yoga. So let's talk about where the piriformis muscle is. The piriformis muscle is where you always get a pain in the butt if you've been sitting incorrectly, sleeping incorrectly, or standing incorrectly. So any position that you normally have for a prolonged period of time, if you feel something starting to talk to you in the middle of your buttock, that's likely your piriformis muscle. So where does it actually live? It attaches to your hip joint. So it attaches out here to what's called your greater trochanter, not hip joint, sorry, your hip bone, which is on the outside and the back of your buttock leg area. But here's what makes the piriformis such a problematic muscle. If we look at that piriformis muscle, my hand is kind of in the direction of the alignment of that muscle, but it is the only muscle that is a hip rotator, meaning it rotates the leg, that actually attaches to the front of your pelvis bone known as your sacrum. So because it attaches to the front, it has different movements than the other hip rotator muscles. Because of that, if we look at all of the muscles in the entire body, it is one of just a few muscles that gets the special medical term called an inversion muscle. inversion, inversion muscle. Now, what does that mean in the physical therapy world? Essentially, it means that when our hip is straight, it has a function of rotating the leg outward. But when our hip is bent, it has the function of rotating the leg inward. So the role of the muscle is dependent on the position of the hip, which is why it is a problem for prolonged standing people, prolonged sitting people, and people who sleep on their side or back with their leg in a funny position. And I'm going to mention that. So because it's function of an inversion muscle, it becomes tight on almost everyone, and it also becomes weak. The second reason that hopefully this is an important class for you today is this is my fake sciatic nerve on my guy. So the thing is that the sciatic nerve oftentimes comes out of the pelvis directly underneath that piriformis muscle. In fact, there is some scientific literature to prove that in some individuals that they've done cadaveric studies on, meaning that they've looked at the cadaver of the body and opened up and looked at that sciatic nerve. It actually punctures through the fibers of that muscle. Problematic for those people because there's always compression on that nerve. Now, when you look at the research studies, it can be as little as 10% of the population that it goes through the muscle, as high in some studies as 30-40% that it goes through that muscle. So there's a very close relationship with this crazy long sciatic nerve that literally ends at the tip of your toe with that piriformis muscle. Final reason today is so important is in the yoga world and in just generally the more Eastern philosophy world, we talk about something called your chakras. And there are chakras and layers of chakras that move up your body. Kind of think about them as places that your energy can get blocked. So stop signs or traffic lights in your body of energy. And the very bottom chakra is called your root chakra. The color that's attached to that is red. And that piriformis muscle has a very essential role in keeping the tension or tone in that root chakra so it can get stuff blocked. So when you work the piriformis muscle, oftentimes it releases, is a good word to use, energy, and allows you to kind of get things moving. So that stop sign or that traffic light, all of a sudden you're moving, and it can kind of change some things emotionally for you that you've kind of been held and kept up in those hip muscles. So with what we do today, my goal is to maybe change the flexibility of your piriformis muscle. So change how you sit, stand, and lay. Maybe change the strength of your piriformis muscle so you've got a little bit more balance in your hips. And maybe get rid of that stop sign or that traffic light that's kind of stopping you from having energy moving up and down your body. So we're going to start in sitting on our bolster today, but I want to demonstrate something really quickly for those of you that sleep at home on your side for any amount of your night. So when you sleep on your side, one of the things that lights up and puts tension in the piriformis muscle the most is to let this leg fall down in front of you like so. So side sleepers that let their leg fall like that, you're putting full tension on that sciatic nerve all night long, therefore, on the piriformis muscle, therefore compressing that sciatic nerve. So just a hint from the physical therapy world relative to the piriformis muscle. If you sleep on your side, for goodness sakes, put a pillow between your legs so that you take that tension off of that piriformis muscle. So just one little tiny tip I wanted to give at the beginning of class today, because we all have different sleeping positions, but that's one that can easily fix dysfunction in the piriformis muscle. All right, so find yourself in a seated position. Once you're in a seated position, allow yourself just to roll your pelvis a couple times forward and backward, starting to wake up that spine, that pelvis, and that overall flow of that nervous system. And then find halfway between your toes, halfway between your tuck. Hold that position, get your spine nice and long, and then allow yourself to hinge at your hips and put a little bit of weight into your legs. Now that you have that position, take your hands and bring your hands to the center of the heart. We're going to do some nice good openings and breathing together. No counting of breath today, just gentle opening for the day. So just start with a nice big smile on your face. And then when you're ready, start with a nice deep inhale, reaching your hands all the way up. Reach the hands to the ceiling as high as you can, and then as you exhale, just let those arms come all the way down. Let's do that 2 more times. Hands to heart. Inhaling all the way up, turning those palms to the ceiling, and then as you exhale, dropping all the way down. Finally, one last time. Inhaling, coming all the way up. Reaching, and then exhaling and coming all the way down. Very, very nice. Now, in this position, keeping your legs where they are, take your left hand either to your bolster, left hand to the floor, whichever feels better for you. Once you have that position, allow yourself to kind of shift your weight a little bit over onto that right sit bone. Now, in this position with the right arm, take a nice deep inhale, lift it up. And then on the exhale, bend your left elbow, side bend over, reach that armpit up towards the ceiling, sit down into that sit bone. Hold this position, lengthen your neck, settle your chin, gaze up to that ceiling. Give me a deep, deep, deep inhale into that side of your low back. Only time we're getting is stretching into that low back today, but I want us to get a bit to start. One more time, nice deep inhale into that belly. Feel that low back stretch on that right side. And then inhale, reaching your arm up, exhale, dropping the arm down. All right, same thing on the opposite side. So right hand either on the bolster or right hand onto the floor, you pick depending on how tall you are. Then allow yourself to shear and shift your pelvis and rib cage to that left so that you get that weight into that left sit bone area. Then with that left hand, let's take a nice deep inhale, lift it up. And then as you exhale, bend that right elbow, really turn that armpit up, sit into that sit bone and see if you can feel that stretch to the side body and the side of your low back. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, gaze upward. All right, 2 good breaths here. Deep inhale into that belly. Can you stretch and feel all the way into that low back, and then exhaling, relaxing? Let's do that one more time. Nice deep inhale. And exhaling and relaxing. Beautiful. Left arm, inhale it up, and then as you exhale, dropping that hand down. All right, now turning yourself to your side, finding yourself in hands and knees, taking your bolster and having it in the center of your yoga mat, knees behind the bolster, hands, wrists in front of the bolster, or whatever you're using for something to elevate your pelvis. We're going to be using it in a second. Look back at your knees, make sure they're hip distance apart. That's 2 fists between the knees. And then take a look back and see that those ankles and feet line up with those knees and hips. Stack your hips directly on top of your knees, and then walk your hands so that you feel like your hands, wrists, elbows are all directly underneath the shoulders. Index fingers, point them forward, thumbs bring them in, and then just relax out through those outer 3 fingers. Now just take a moment here to kind of shift your weight from your right knee to your left knee. And as you shift your weight from your right knee to your left knee, just kind of get a perception. Do you feel that one buttock area is a little bit tighter than the other? For me, that is definitely my left buttock. I can feel more tension as I weight shift side to side. Now, kind of keep that weight shift going until you oscillate yourself straight into the center. And let's go through a couple cat-cows here. So take an inhale, sink your belly, lift your tailbone, shoulder blades back and down, lengthen the neck and look all the way up. And then as you exhale, pull that belly up and in, curl that tailbone under, spread the shoulder blades, chin to chest, gaze into your belly button. 2 more times. Inhale. Keep that inhale going as you let everything sink down, but lengthen through that upper half. And then as you exhale as you curl everything under, but really feel that neck lengthening as you gaze into that belly button. Last time, inhaling, sinking the belly, lifting the tailbone, shoulder blades back, lengthen that neck, look upward. And exhaling, curling everything under, tucking that tailbone, tucking that chin in, gazing into your belly button. You've got it. Now, slowly coming back to the center position, bringing your hands on the bolster for a second. Take your bolster and now move it slightly more forward on your yoga mat until you feel you have it where your hands and your wrists were. Once you have that, what I then want you to do is to sit your right sit bone on the center of your bolster. Now, keep your left knee bent, or left hip bent and left knee bent, particularly if you've got a lot of hip flexor issues. The focus today is on the piriformis, so I'm going to give you some options for your left leg, but I really want it to be that we get this particular muscle to lengthen. Now, if we have ourselves in a position that we line our shin bone up with the top of our mat as we're sitting on this bolster, we're going to be in a modification of pigeon pose. So that's really going to focus on all of those hip rotator muscles. But to specifically get that piriformis muscle, what I want you to do is take your knee, feel that your pelvis is pointed forward, and have your knee in the center of your bolster, in the center of your pelvis. So allow yourself to find that position. For me, that means that my left foot is actually off my yoga mat, but I'm still going to try to gently keep that line of my shin bone with the top of my mat. All right, now in this position, check in with your left pelvic bone. If your left pelvic bone is pointed forward, fabulous. If it's pointed over to the side, you have very, very tight hip rotators. Allow yourself just to try to pull that left hip bone forward towards that right knee. That's probably as much as you're going to do to get into this piriformis muscle on this right side. However, if you've got a little bit more flexibility through your hip flexors, what I want you to do with that left leg is see if you can kind of bring that left leg behind you, but keep that left hip pointer pointed forward. So figure out where works best for you. Keep the right sit bone on the bolster. Keep the left hip pointer pointed forward. All right, let's get into that piriformis even deeper if you can handle it. So take a nice deep inhale here, and as you exhale, bring your hands to that top side of your yoga mat. Now, in this position, play with this, ladies and gentlemen. If you arch your back a little tiny bit, so pulling your belly towards your right thigh, you should feel more stretching through the buttock area. If you tuck your tailbone under, you should lose that stretch. If that's what you're feeling, you've got that piriformis muscle. So take an inhale, roll that pelvis forward, stick that belly towards that thigh, and then if you've got it in you, as you exhale, drop yourself down onto your elbows. Now, you may still be sitting completely upright with your leg out to the side because that's how tight you are. You pick which one is the best for you. Now that you have it, I want you to check in with a couple of things here. Make sure that your back is nice and straight, neck is long, chin is tucked inward. Check in that that right knee feels like it's in the center of your bolster, therefore it's in the center of your chest. Check in and feel that that left hip pointer is pushing downward towards the floor. Boy, you should feel that in the right piriformis muscle. Now, it is part of the backside of your pelvic floor. Therefore, that's the reason it's a component of that root chakra. So to really start to relax that muscle, we need to get deep, deep inhales in there. So take a deep, slow inhale into your belly. And then slowly exhaling out. 2 more times. Deeply inhale as deep as you can into that pelvic floor. And then exhale out. 1 more time. Nice deep inhale. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Walk yourself back up onto your hands. Once you have yourself back onto your hands, just gently turn yourself to your left side, roll the right pelvis off the bolster, and then switch yourself to your left side, getting that left sit bone on that bolster. Once you're there, start to bring that left leg forward. That right leg, keep it bent into the side for now so that you can get that rotation through your pelvis. Now, remember what we said on that first side. If you have your knee nice and wide, which would be traditional pigeon pose or modification of it because we're using a bolster here, you're going to get all the rotators. I'm interested in you getting one rotator. So to get that piriformis muscle, kind of walk your foot over to the right side so that your knee is sitting in the center of your bolster. Now that you have that, if your pelvis is pointed all the way to the right, you've got to get that rotation of your pelvis. So see if you can get into that position where your pelvis is pointed straight forward. Shin bone, you can kind of line it up gently with the top of your mat there. Make sure that knee doesn't change where it is. Now, if it takes everything you've got through your right hip flexors to keep that pelvis in that position, do not change anything with your right leg. But if you can, allow yourself to try to bring that leg behind you and further get that pelvis pointed forward. All right, now let's move on to add the forward bending or the flexion component here. So keeping that knee where it is, start with taking that inhale, and as you inhale, pull that belly forward. You'll feel that accentuation of that stretch in your buttock. Test yourself for a second. If you exhale and tuck your tailbone under, does the stretch go away? All right, so inhale, pull the belly forward, and then as you exhale, drop your hands down. Oh boy, I'm tight on my left side. Drop your hands down on your mat. All right, if you've got more to have, take an inhale here, pull that belly forward, and exhale and come down onto those elbows. Now, don't drop your head fully down here. Kind of keep your spine nice and long so you can focus on that belly pushing down into that left thigh. But can you check in here that your left knee is in the center of your pelvis, center of your chest? Can you check in that your back is nice and straight, or as straight as you can get it, and that that right hip pointer is pointed straight down into that bolster? All right, now let's really focus on that deep breathing into that pelvic floor and opening up through that piriformis muscle. So lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Give me a deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. 2 more times. Deep inhaling in. And exhaling out. 1 more time. Nice deep inhale. And exhaling. Beautiful. Taking your hands and pushing yourself up, rolling yourself to the right of your bolster, and then letting yourself slide off your bolster. Now that you've done that, just gently move your bolster over to the side of your mat so that you've got access to it if you need it, but it's not directly in your mat's way. And then find yourself back up onto your hands and knees. Now, on your hands and knees this time, check in that your knee alignment is still good. Feet, line them back up behind those knees. Hips, line them on top of those knees. Hands, line them up underneath those shoulders. You know where your index fingers and thumbs go. Weight shift into that area of your thumb and your index finger in your palm. All right, now just allow yourself to kind of wag your tail side to side for a second. Do you feel less tension in your buttocks already with just doing that first lengthening and that first breathing technique into that piriformis muscle? All right, now find yourself in the middle. So just kind of oscillate to the center. Let's go through those 3 cat-cows all over again. So give me a nice deep inhale, sink the belly, lift the tailbone, shoulder blades back, lengthen that neck and chest, look up. And then as you exhale, pull that belly up and in, tuck that tailbone, spread those shoulder blades, lengthen that neck, chin to chest. Very good, 2 more times. Inhale, sink the belly, lift that tailbone, keep your breath going through that whole movement as you gaze up. And then as you exhale, keep curling under and exhaling and exhaling and exhaling. And 1 more time here. Inhaling, inhaling and inhaling and inhaling. You got it. And finally exhaling and exhaling and exhaling and exhaling. Great. Now stay in your exhale. Stay in that very angry cat and slowly walk yourself back to sit your sit bones onto your heels. Slowly settle your belly down onto your thighs, your chest down onto your knees, soften your elbows, gently bring the crown of your head down onto your floor, and allow yourself to be here for a moment. Take that deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. Deep inhale into the belly and exhaling out. Excellent. Now, slowly bring yourself up into hands and knees position. Have yourself seated on your mat. We are going to go through Z pose. So some of us don't know if we have tight hip rotators or if we have just a tight piriformis. So I want to go through a yoga pose that will help you know, is my problem piriformis, or is the problem that I have that just generally all my hip rotators are tight? So here's what you're going to do. Allow yourself to take your right leg, and with your right leg, line your shin bone up with the top or bottom of your mat, however you want to look at that. Then with your left leg, take your leg out to the side and align your shin bone up with the side of your mat. Now, quick little caveat here, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a hip replacement on this left hip and you have this much internal rotation, that may put you in a little bit of a vulnerable position. So what I would recommend left hip replacement folks to do, or really bad arthritis, is just to take that leg and let it go straight out to the side so that we're not worried about that hip joint while we're focusing on this right piriformis muscle. So pick what is best for your physical body, but just a little physical therapy side note on that one. All right, now in this position, if you look at your pelvis right now, your pelvis is pointed towards your right foot. So here's what I want you to do first. Take your pelvis and turn your pelvis so that it's pointed towards the top or bottom of your mat or your shin bone. Now, do you feel any tension in your right hip rotators? Take that inhale, pull your belly forward, place your hand on the floor. How about now? Take that other inhale. As you exhale, see if you can bend forward over that shin bone. Now, do you feel the same tension you felt when you were on the bolster? If not, it is not that all your hip rotators are tight. It is likely that it's just your piriformis. So walk yourself back up, take that pelvis, and now rotate that pelvis up and over that right knee. As you rotate that pelvis, so that left hip pointer, you're trying to pull it towards your right heel. Take a nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, kind of fold yourself up and over that knee. All right, do you have any more flexibility in you? Take another nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, fold yourself so that that knee lines up with the center of your chest. Now, what are you feeling through that right hip? If there is more of a stretch here, you know your piriformis is your frenemy. So this is what we want to focus on. So stay right here in Z pose. Allow yourself to take a nice deep inhale, deep into that pelvic floor, exhaling out. Make sure that neck is long, chin is tucked. 2 more breaths, deep inhale, and exhale. 1 more breath, ladies and gentlemen, deep inhale, and exhale. You've got it. Walk those hands up, slowly rotate yourself out of Z pose. And then play with this for a second. Can you lean yourself back and then just whoops, reverse your Z pose to the opposite side? So check in that you did well there. So your right shin bone is pointed to the top or bottom of your mat. Left shin bone. Right shin bone is out to the side. Again, now, if this is a right hip replacement, doesn't mean don't do this, but modify it so that you're not feeling that your right hip is vulnerable. Severe arthritis, I'd say the same thing. So just kind of unrotate the hip so the focus is going to be on the front leg, not on how vulnerable that right hip might be. Okay, now in this position, same dealio. Right now, your pelvis might be pointing towards that left heel. So allow yourself to pull that pelvis up and forward towards the front or bottom of your mat, depending on how you're looking at it. Then take a deep inhale, pull that belly up and forward, and then as you exhale, reach your hands forward. You got more in you, take another deep inhale, and then as you exhale, drop your hands down. Do you feel that immense tension in the center of your left buttock? If not, ladies and gentlemen, it's not all of your hip rotators that are tight. It is the piriformis muscle. So walk yourself back up and let's use the Z pose to target that muscle. So now this pelvis that's pointed this way, allow that pelvis to turn as much towards that left knee as you can. Have your hands straddle that left knee. Take a deep inhale, arch that back, pull that belly forward, and then as you exhale, drop yourself down onto your forearms. Now, lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Do you feel that tension in your buttock? Hopefully you do. Let's do 3 deep inhales and exhales again. So nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out, try to pull that right sit bone towards that left heel, guys. 2 more breaths. Deep inhale into the belly. Exhaling out. Give me 1 more time. Nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Walk your hands back up and slowly unrotate yourself. Now, what if the problem isn't that the piriformis muscle is short and tight? We've just done 2 stretches for it. So hopefully if that's the problem, we've already fixed it some. What if the problem is that you're just holding on to things and that muscle is super, super tense? Well, let's work on that one. So this is the perfect position to do that in. Allow yourself to straighten your left leg out. Now, There's a couple of positions that you can put your right leg in here. Easy one, lean yourself back and just gently let your right leg kind of come up and over your left leg. Harder, slide the left leg up. The hardest, can you grab a hold of that right leg like it's a little tiny baby that you're about to rock? So you kind of pick which way you want to have your right leg positioned. However you have your right leg positioned, now what we're going to do is we're going to give that piriformis muscle and, quite frankly, all of the gluteal muscles a little bit of a self-massage. So in this position, if you're holding on to the baby, take the right hand and bring it out to the side of you. If you've got your legs crossed up, lean slightly to your right. If your left leg is straight, lean over a little bit more to your right side. So you pick your level to do your soft tissue mobilization. But here's all I want you to do. Roll onto the right gluteal muscle. Now, as you roll, you might need to kind of move a little bit forward, a little bit backward, but I want you to find that beautiful, beautiful amount of tension you feel in that right buttock. Now that you're here, here's what I want you to do. If you're holding on to the leg, rock the baby. If your leg is up on your other foot, rock your body. Understand that as you rock and oscillate through that muscle and all of those tissues of your buttock, you're increasing the blood flow. In fact, there's research to show that you're increasing the hyaluronic acid in your tissues. So you're actually creating them to be more fluid with water, and tissues are fluid similar to water, and you're increasing its ability to move, its ability to relax. So keep rocking and rolling that right hip. Let's go for a couple more times here. And then after you have that, slowly bring yourself back up into the seated position wherever you had it. Straighten that right leg out. Take that left leg in, and let's go through the 3 options for the left hip. So option number 1, you just kind of cross the leg up and over the right leg and lean yourself back. Option number 2, bend that knee up and keep yourself in this position. I think the majority of us can at least do this, but if you have ample hip flexibility, go for option number 3. So take that right elbow up and around that left ankle and hold that little leg like it's a baby that you're gonna rock. Whichever of the 3 positions that you are choosing, now allow yourself to lean back and over to that left side. As you go over, move yourself a little bit, rock and roll, find the gorgeous spot. I found mine. And again, once you're on it, it's not about staying on it. It's about creating oscillation and movement into it. So rock the baby, or if your leg is up on your right leg, rock the pelvis and the body. You pick which way you're doing it, but allow yourself to mobilize that soft tissue. You guys, you're being your own best healthcare provider here. And as you do that, think it is relaxing. It is getting more fluid. That is what I want you to do. So keep that rock and roll and going for a few more times here. All right, now give me one more good rock and roll. I hate my left side, but I love my left side. That's what I'm saying to myself. And then slowly let yourself come back up into the center and then uncross the legs. So at this point, we've already done good relaxation of the muscle. We've already done good stretching of the muscle. We haven't done any strengthening yet. So I want to show you one strengthening exercise for the piriformis muscle in a seated position, and then we're going to make our way down to our mat. So here's what I want you to do. Lean yourself back like you're sitting close to your tailbone, and then take your feet and bring your feet wider than your shoulders. Now, in this position, what I want you to do is take a nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, allow your legs to rotate to the right, but don't let your pelvis move. Then inhale, bring the legs back up. And then exhale, rotate the legs to the left, but don't let the pelvis move. You've got it. Inhaling, exhaling to the right. Now you're strengthening and moving more than just your piriformis. This is all of your hip rotators here. Inhaling up, exhaling to the left. Let's do one more time. Inhaling up, exhaling to the right, and inhaling up and exhaling to the left. You've got it. Inhale those legs back up. Slowly bring yourself back up onto hands and knees. Let's go through one last round of cat-cows here. So get yourself so that your knees are hip distance, feet are in alignment, hips on top of the knees, wrists, elbows underneath the shoulders. Let's get going, ladies and gentlemen. Take a deep inhale, sink that belly, sink that spine. Shoulder blade back and down, lift and look up. And exhale, curl that belly under, tuck that tailbone under. Spread through the back of that neck, gaze into the belly button. Good. Inhaling. Inhale through that whole movement. Can you keep that inhale going? And exhale, 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 exhale. Keep that going. One final time here. Inhale, inhale and inhale. And exhale, 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 and exhale. Good. Find the top of your exhale, just like before. Walk yourself back. Get those sit bones to those heels. Slowly lower belly to thigh, chest to knees, dropping the elbows, crown of the head to the floor. Oh, take this moment to just be here with your breath. Take a deep inhale into your belly, nice and deep. And exhaling out. Let's do that one more time. Deep inhale in. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Now, slowly allow yourself to come down onto your belly. So as you slide down onto your belly, if you have a sensitive spine, then just allow yourself to put a pillow or your bolster or something underneath your belly. We are not going to be here long, but I do want to show another option for strengthening the piriformis muscle before we make it onto our back. So on your belly, allow yourself to feel the length of both of your legs. You can rest your head down onto your hands if you like. I'm just going to keep mine lifted so I can talk to you. And here's what I simply want you to do. Stack your ankles on top of your knees. Now, your hips are in extension here. What that means is your legs are straight through your hip joints. So the piriformis muscle's function when your hip is straight is to rotate your legs outward. So in this position, if you slowly let both of your heels spread apart from one another, that is called internal rotation. You're using the piriformis muscle to internally rotate here. And it then aids that muscle in getting strong in its role as a stabilizer for the hip. So you could certainly do this exercise where you're letting your feet come away from you and then pulling your feet into you. And you could even do that with resistance around your legs if you wanted to, with a band or something like that. But touch your toes together, touch your heels together. Let's do this 5 times with breath. Make sure your pelvis does not move to the right or the left side. Take an inhale and let your feet go far out as much as they can. And then as you exhale, bring them back inward. Inhaling, you're going into hip internal rotation using that piriformis muscle. Exhaling, you're using the other hip rotators that externally rotate. Let's do it again. Inhaling. Exhaling, inhaling, creating balance between that piriformis. Exhaling, coming back in. 2 more times. Inhaling, internal rotators fire to strengthen opposite of that piriformis. Exhaling, 1 last time. Inhaling, letting those legs go outward. and exhaling. Beautiful. Now slowly drop your feet down, hands underneath those shoulders, tuck that tailbone under, slowly push yourself back into child's pose. Allow yourself to find your child's pose one last time here before we make it onto our back. Settle your head down onto the floor, maybe even gaze back and see that those feet are hip distance apart. All right, nice deep inhale and exhale here. So deep inhale into the belly and exhaling. Deep inhale into the belly and exhaling. Beautiful. Bring yourself up out of that child's pose. Roll yourself to your left or your right side. And once you're there, gently allow yourself to lay down through your side and then roll yourself over onto your back. Just a nice, easy way to save our low backs. All right, we are on our low back. Now, here's what I would like you to do. In this position, just gently roll your shoulder blades underneath you. Maybe do a couple of tuck and tilts with your pelvis so you find a nice, good neutral position of your spine. And then once you have that, take your right knee up to your chest and slowly allow your left leg to drop down to the floor. Now, in this position, don't do anything other than just take a quick look down at your right leg. In this position, does your right foot fall in or out of your knee? Because if it does, you have an imbalance of your hip rotators. One of the culprits could be that piriformis muscle. So make sure you line that ankle up with your hip and your knee in this position. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, take a nice deep inhale in, and then as you exhale, pull that knee up and into your chest. Deep inhale into the belly. Exhaling, pulling that knee up and into the chest. Beautiful. Now, slowly releasing a little bit of that tension and taking that right knee now and bringing it smack dab to the center of your chest. So if you need to come out of a little bit of hip flexion, just because you've got some osteoarthritis or maybe some labral fraying in your right hip, allow yourself to not be in so much deep flexion that you feel your groin. So just give yourself a little bit of space there, but keep your knee in the center of your chest. Right hand comes up and around to the outside of the right leg. Left hand, slide it down and see how close you can get to that right ankle. Now, keeping that right knee in the center of your chest, it's all about rotation of this right leg now. So left leg in nice and straight on the floor. Give me a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, keeping that right knee to your chest, try to pull that right ankle up towards that left shoulder. Can you feel that tension in the right buttock? Now, can you breathe into it to let the tension go? Maintaining your stretch here, 3 deep inhales and exhales into that pelvic floor. So deep inhale into that belly. Make sure your neck is long, your chin is tucked inward. Exhaling out. Again, nice deep inhale. Exhaling out. Deep inhaling in and exhaling out. Beautiful. Left hand, release it from the right ankle. Let that knee line back up. Once you have the knee to the chest, slide the left leg up, release your right foot to the floor. Let's do it all over on the left side. So left knee, bring it up to your chest. Just take a quick gaze. Does your foot fall inward? Do you in fact have an imbalance of your hip rotators? Great class to be in if you are. And then try to line that up and then take that right leg and slide it straight down the mat. Nice deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, pull that left knee up and into your chest. One more time, deep inhale in and then exhale, pulling that left knee up and into your chest. Beautiful. Now, let's work on that piriformis muscle and getting some length to it. So taking that left knee and now bringing that left knee to the center of your chest without your pelvis lifting. If you feel that groin tension because of an issue happening in your hip joint itself, then come out of some hip flexion to get that left knee into the center of your chest, keeping that pelvis down. Left hand comes to the outside of that left knee to hold that knee in the center of the chest. Right hand, slide it all the way down. Can you get to that left ankle? All right, well, let's do the opening on this side. So nice deep inhaling here. And then as you exhale, pulling that left ankle up towards that right shoulder. Knee stays to the center of the chest, left pelvis stays on the floor. All right, you've got it. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Right leg is straight. Can you breathe into that pelvic floor? Deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. Deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. One more nice deep inhale in. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Right hand, release it away from that left ankle. Holding that left knee to the chest, slide that right leg up. And once your right leg is slid up, release your left foot down to the floor. All right, we're going to go on our side for a short minute here. So go ahead and lay yourself on your left side so that you are facing me. I'm going to turn around. If you need support for your head, you can use your hand or grab that bolster and just gently place it underneath your head so that you've got a little bit of support for your head. Now, we're going to talk about some hip strengthening here for a moment before we move on with class. So stack your knees directly on top of your hips. Remember that that piriformis muscle is an inversion muscle. So when your leg is straight, it does external rotation. When your knee is bent, it does internal rotation. Okay, so that's important for us to think about, because if the muscle is tight and the other rotators are weak, then it's often important to balance the strength of those weaker muscles with that tight piriformis muscle. So I want to show you a nice, easy way to do a clam exercise to strengthen the external rotators of the hip, but not the piriformis muscle. And then we'll talk about where you would strengthen the piriformis muscle if you need to. So keeping your knees stacked, allow yourself to take your hand to your pelvis and make sure that your pelvis and your low back do not move. Keeping your heels and your toes together, simply inhale and lift your knee up and away from your left knee. Exhale, dropping it down. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, dropping down. One more time. Inhaling and lifting, and exhaling and dropping down. Now, allow your legs to slide down. So now your ankles line up with your hips, lines up with your back. In this position, you're at that point where that piriformis muscle starts to change its role from being an internal rotator to an external rotator. So if it is weak, this is a really good position to do external rotation with all of those muscles together, including the piriformis muscle. So again, feet together, toes together, make sure your pelvis doesn't move. Take an inhale, lift your leg up. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale, lift your leg up. Exhale, drop it down. One more time. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, dropping back down. You've got it. So there are more than one way to do a clam exercise. Understand, if your knees are up at the height of your hips, you are not including strengthening the piriformis muscle. If your legs are down so that your hip is less than about 60 degrees, you are including that piriformis muscle in the strengthening. Very nice. Using the bottom elbow, the top hand, push yourself up if you want to just rotate yourself on your bed like I'm going to, on the mat like I'm going to, and then just lay yourself down on the opposite side. Once you're down on the opposite side, if you want to use that bolstered position for your head, you can, but line those knees up so they're directly on top, directly in line with the hips. In this position, the piriformis muscle is an internal rotator. So because of that, if we do clams, we're strengthening all of the external rotators except the piriformis. So hand on the pelvis, let's keep that pelvis nice and straight here. So if your piriformis muscle was really tight and your other external rotators are really weak, this is an excellent position to strengthen your hip rotators. Let's do 3 times here. Inhale, keep that pelvis still, just lift up the knee. Exhale and drop. 2 more times. Inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and dropping. And finally, inhaling and lifting. And exhaling and dropping. You've got it. Now, what if we wanted to include that piriformis with our external rotators? We need to drop our legs down. So take yourself into the position that your back and your pelvis and your ankle joints are all lined up so that your hip is a little bit less than 60 degrees here. Hand back onto the pelvis. Knees and toes stay together, pelvis and back stay nice and stable. Maybe even think about bracing your abdominals. Let's go through those 3 clams here. So inhaling, lifting up, don't let your pelvis rotate. Exhaling and slowly relaxing. 2 more times. Inhaling and lifting. Exhaling and relaxing. And 1 final time here. Inhaling and lifting. And exhaling and relaxing. You've got it. Take that little bolster of yours, roll it out of the way, and just simply roll yourself back over onto your back. Allow yourself to find those shoulder blades underneath you, your neck long, your chin gently relaxed, your neutral pelvis position. And take your right knee back up to your chest. Let your left leg slide down. Now, we absolutely cannot end a piriformis class without doing a little salute to our sciatic nerve. So take your hands to the underside of your knee. Take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, pull that right knee nice and tight to your chest, keeping the left leg engaged on the floor, both sets of toes up towards your chest. Here we go, 5 times. Inhale, straighten that right knee, but don't let that knee come away from your chest. And exhale and relax. Lengthening your neck, settling your chin, inhaling and straightening, exhaling and relaxing. Inhale, straightening through that leg, creating tension of that sciatic nerve, exhaling and relaxing. 2 more times. Inhaling and straightening, exhaling and relaxing. And 1 final time here, inhaling and straightening, and exhaling and relaxing. You've got it. Left leg, slide it up, right leg, bring it down onto the floor. Take that left knee up to your chest, slide that right leg down onto the floor. 1 nice deep inhale, exhale into your chest, taking the hands now to the underside of the thigh, keeping that knee nice and tight into your chest. Both sets of feet, point them up towards the ceiling, snugging that knee into your chest. Maybe shoulder blades are back and down, neck is long, chin is tucked. Let's go through 5 times on this side. Give me that inhale and straightening that left knee. You got it, guys. Exhaling and relaxing it. Inhaling, straightening that leg. Exhaling and relaxing. Keep that knee to the chest, keeping those toes pointed towards your head. Inhaling and straightening, neck long, chin tucked. Exhaling and relaxing. 2 more like the right side. Inhaling and straightening. Exhaling and relaxing. And finally, 1 last time. Inhaling, straightening that leg. And exhaling, relaxing. Beautiful. Right leg, slide that leg up, bring that knee all the way up to your chest. Hug your hands around your shin bones on both sides. Knees and hips and ankles all hip width apart. Taking a nice deep inhale here. Exhaling, pulling your knees up and into your chest. Maybe a little rock and roll so that you can soft tissue mobilize or massage those low back and pelvis muscles. And then once you've done that, allow yourself to place your feet down onto your mat, taking your feet to the width of your mat. So windshield wipers, we do it a lot in my therapeutic yoga classes. It's a great exercise to balance your internal and your external rotators. Doing it at the angle that we are doing it here, You are above 60 degrees. So you are strengthening your piriformis muscle when your leg falls inward in this position, but don't think too much about it. Let's just do windshield wipers. But I do want you to put a little bit more focus on letting the leg that's falling inward fall towards the floor, keeping the pelvis nice and stable. So hands on those hip pointers. Don't let your pelvis lift off the mat today. Give me a nice deep inhale. On the exhale, knees fall to the right. Can you let that left knee focus on falling inward towards the floor? Inhale, coming back up, keeping the pelvis stable. Exhales, knees falling towards the left. Hard to do and keep that pelvis stable, isn't it? Inhaling, coming up. We'll do it 3 more times and then we'll let our pelvis go for trunk rotation. Exhaling, going to the right. Keep your pelvis still. Really focus on those hips, controlling that rotation. Inhaling, coming back up to the left now. Exhaling, dropping the knees, focusing on that right knee going in, but pelvis stays stable. Last time around here. Inhaling up. Exhaling, dropping the knees to the right, pelvis stays stable, focus on that left knee going down. And inhaling, coming back up. Exhaling, dropping the knees to the left, focusing on that right knee going in, pelvis stays stable. Inhaling, staying up in the top this time, just take an exhale there. Let your arms fall out to the side. We're gonna do full windshield wipers for our spinal twist today. So here's what I want you to do. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, drop those knees fully to that right side. Once you have it fully dropped, can you get that full length through that left leg? Drop that left knee in as much as you can. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Gaze towards that left thumb now. Feel that opening through the front of the left thigh. Feel it maybe through the back on that left side. All right, let's use this opportunity to take 2 beautiful deep breaths into our belly and our pelvic floor. So nice deep inhale here. And exhaling out. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, gaze at that thumb, deep inhaling in. And exhaling out. Slowly bringing your head back to the center, and then nice deep inhale, lift those legs all the way up. Exhale, drop those legs down into that left. Feel that trunk rotation through that spinal twist. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Rotate that head to that right side now. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Find that gaze on that thumb. Feel that opening now through the front of the right leg, maybe the back of the spine on that right side. Now holding yourself right here. Let yourself feel that deep breath. So deep inhale into the belly, into that pelvic floor. Exhaling out. One more time, nice deep inhale into the belly, into the pelvic floor. And exhaling out. Slowly turning your head back to the center. Give me that nice strong inhale. Lift your legs back up. Exhaling, hold yourself right here. Slowly let yourself slide those legs down one at a time. Can you slide that heel down the edge of your mat, finding your heel at the very edge of your mat? All right, so letting yourself rest here for a moment. Point your toes up towards your head. One last little strengthening of those piriformis muscles before we let them fully relax. So keep the engagement of your toes pointed upward. Keep your legs straight. Can you take an inhale and just literally turn your legs in from your hips? Don't let your pelvis lift off the mat. Feel that you are using your internal rotators here. And then exhale, let your legs go and fully relax. We are done thinking. We are done doing movement of our body. Here's the last thing I want you to do. Just be still. That's it. But take your attention to your buttock muscles as you're laying here nice and still. Take a deep inhale into your belly. And then as you exhale, literally let your body relax. Feel your bottom and your buttock muscles and all of those hip rotators softening even more. If you feel yourself holding on to tension in your mind right now, simply just say, let go. Let go. We've done the physical practice of balancing the muscles. Now give yourself that moment of the mental practice of letting go of those muscles. Keeping your body still. Every second you feel like you want to tense yourself up down there, talk to yourself and just say, let go. It is amazing how much tension we keep in muscles unconsciously. So you can't necessarily fully relax through them if you've got an unconscious stress to those muscles, but if you talk to them, they will listen. Let go. Let go. Now, gently wiggle your fingers and your toes and do some nice, good circles with those ankles and your wrists, waking up that nervous system, waking up your body. When you're ready, sliding your right leg up and sliding your left leg up, rotating yourself to your left or your right side, whichever just speaks to you more today. Letting yourself rest there for a moment. And then on a nice, good exhale, bottom elbow, top hand, pushing yourself up into a seated position. Finding yourself in tailor pose, easy pose, crisscross applesauce, whatever you want to call it. Maybe feeling a lot less tension through those hips right now. And bringing your hands to your heart and starting right where we began. Nice, good smile on that face. All right, deep inhale in and exhaling out. Namaste. The highest in me salutes the highest in you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope your piriformis muscles are happy.